All right. Good evening, everyone.
Hi.
I hadn't been watching the time, and I do apologize for that. I didn't wear my watch. I just looked at someone's phone. It's like at 7:05. We're 5 minutes late, and I like being timely. So we do have some name tags there at the table. Please sign in. Make sure you picked yourself up a agenda and upcoming events, because we're going to go over that really quick. Our night out sheet, another little reminder about the movie night. So, before we begin, can I ask you all to please stand so we can say the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. And begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome, everyone, tonight. And if you did sign and put on a little name tag, look and see if you have a little triangle corner colored in, because if you did, you get a quick little prize. You can come up and get your little prize. You get to pick, so you can take notes. A lot of things are going to be going on tonight. So come up and, did you get one? Oh, you didn't draw as big? Oh.
I think I do. I don't know.
Is that, do you see a little triangle? Then you do. Come up and pick one. Come up and pick one. It's nothing fancy, but you can take notes. And welcome. Welcome, Ryan. So, did everyone get an agenda? We have them on the back table there. Oh, hang on, just give me a... This is my first time. Please be patient with me in doing this. Put on my magic glasses there. Upcoming events. Flip your agenda over. West Hill Action Mob. That's 2 weeks Saturday on the 29th. We're going to meet for the U.S. Bank at the Penn Center parking lots of the areas that we're going to be cleaning. I'm not going to read all the details. I'm going to trust that that's good. Skyways National Night Out. Now this is going to be a blast. I'm sorry to say I'm not going to be there. Well, maybe we'll see if we make it back in time. Last year it was a huge success. So instead of having individual block parties, we had a whole neighborhood get together at the Penn Center parking lot. That's right over by where the police station is and the council office. Then there's like an opening there. Oh, and the laundromat is down at that corner as well, in that area. So, National Night Out Tuesday, August 1st, from 6 to 9 p.m. A lot of fun things, free food, music, games, community booths and information. They're going to fire up the grill, popping popcorn, balloon twisting for kids, and Sparky the Fire Dog? Sparky the Fire Dog? All right. The biggie, Skyway Outdoor Cinema. Our first one is coming up on August 4th. And I'm not I am a big Disney person. I just don't have children, so I don't know about these movies.
I do.
I don't know if you say it, is it Moana?
Moana.
Moana. Is our first movie right there behind the U.S. Bank. We back up to it. It looks beautiful. It's painted. They've done a tremendous job. Free food trucks. The second week is E.T., my favorite. Fantastic Beasts, no idea what that's about.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, oh, okay, there you go, thank you. And Rogue One, I think that's the latest Star Wars.
That is correct.
Star Wars. Was that Star Trek? And so, pick one of these, grab one of these and put it on your fridge. All right? Please, invite your neighbors and kids. You know, it is a wonderful night out. Oh, a wonderful night out. Skyway Library Indoor Cinema, and I know we have someone here from the Friends of Skyway Library. I don't know if she's going to talk about that or not, no, but no, okay. But anyway, That's going to be taking place the first 4 Tuesdays in August. I guess that would be all the Tuesdays in August? Is there a 5th Tuesday in August? I don't know. I'm not sure. But anyway,
Yes, the first is a Tuesday.
okay.
Probably.
So those first 4 Tuesdays in August at 5:30, they're going to have an indoor cinema, popcorn, activities, and it looks like the first one up, I think, is going to be that new Batman Lego movie, and it is supposed to be really funny. At the bottom, more upcoming local events, the Community Wellness Festival and Health Fair. Our Skyway Parade, I know the Post is going to be having a float, I believe. And then the Skyway Health and Safety Fair. So a lot of things going on here at the end of, in fact, the Wellness Festival is this Saturday. That's the 22nd, that's this upcoming Saturday, right? The 22nd.
Flyers on it over here, and if someone needs to get a mammogram, they can call the number. We'll be doing mammograms, and perhaps we'll have a big, huge
Thank
van
you.
out there.
Did you sign it? If you would
I
like,
did sign in.
no, I meant to give a little talk about that.
I didn't, I missed her deadline.
No, you can sign right now. Oh, just to to give a little quick thing. So, those are the announcements. Yes.
Yeah, just clarification, since not everybody necessarily knows where all the churches are. Holy Temple Evangelistic Center, I believe that's the one by Nevzat, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And Eritrean Orthodox Tehuado Church, is that like across from
That's
the outlet?
That's the old
Okay.
library.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
No.
that's.
Oh, that's not the
no,
old
it's-
library?
It's the old
No,
Methodist church.
It's the old Skyway.
Used to be Methodist. Yeah. Yeah.
Across from the.
It's like a big brown building, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
A ways down there, almost to the top of the hill going out of Skyway.
Gotcha. Oh, yes,
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
where
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where the parade will be starting.
Yeah. Because if it only went from the library to the old library, it wouldn't be much of a parade.
No, it wouldn't. That's very true. That's very true.
Well.
So thank you, see, read along on that. So let's go ahead and get going. I do want to be timely. I'd like to introduce Brad Clark. He is going to be up first, and then we will get to our usual community reports. Brad is the sub-area. Come on up, Brad.
All right.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it, giving your time this on a beautiful summer evening. He is the sub-area planner. It says right here, King County Department of Permitting. He has a lot of information for us. We do have the thing recording, so we can get a copy of that to you. So, go ahead,
Great.
Brett. You have the floor.
Well, I was mentioning to him earlier, I think we're on the wrong floor. There's a movie going on upstairs right now, right? So,
And potatoes.
and potatoes. So, this will no doubt be much less interesting than what you could be doing upstairs, I'm sure. So yeah, I was a pretty simple agenda to me tonight. It was just basically to maybe just spend 12 to 15 minutes giving just a little background on where we're at with this community plan effort. But then I think a far more interest and value, I think, for this kind of setting would be more of a dialogue with those of you that are here. I mean, I think that's really, at least my hope, particularly since we are pretty much at the front end of this process that we're engaged in, and so I think it would just take advantage of this particular quarterly meeting that you have going on. Unfortunately, I got kind of notified a little late, so I really didn't come with as much interactive information that I would have liked to have, but maybe the conversation will be more worthwhile. So I believe that this organization, correct me if I'm wrong, was actually one of the original places that the 1994 West Hill Community Plan actually sort of, the genesis of it was. I'm curious if anybody here was involved with the 1994 plan. So you do there in the back, you were, and then this gentleman, and then okay, so at least three. That's great. I mean, I think the interest for the county, for those of you that maybe haven't been quite as up to date on where we're at on this West Hill, it's Skyway West Hill Community Service Area Plan. It's CSA is what that stands for, Community Service Area. Our goal is really to kind of look at the entire, West Hill 3.5 square mile area as part of this effort, using as a basis for this plan a lot of the work that's already been done, frankly. There was the SWAP, as it was called, as most of you probably have much more background on that than I do, Skyway West Hill Action Plan that was put forth about 1.5 years ago. Had more than, I'm guessing, about 2 years, maybe 3 years of work done on that. Numerous letters of support from the community that were given to King County Council as a part of that effort. The role of King County itself in that was primarily to have one full-time staff person from our department. The Department of Permitting and Environmental Review is the department that I'm with. I've been in too many meetings, though, that if you're thinking permits right off the bat, and that's going to get in the way of you engaging in this, just kind of set it aside, because my role at that department is not to issue permits, it's to engage with communities in terms of doing long-range planning and visioning kind of documents. So that's my role at the department. So anyway, what our goal is with this effort is to kind of marry up this 1994 West Hill plan, which is one of 3 community plans that King County still recognizes as active. The vast majority of the community plans that were developed by King County in the 70s and 80s and early 90s, there was about 15 of them. The vast majority of those are no longer on the books, so to speak, but there are 3 that still are, and the West Hill is one of those 3. There was a motion passed by the King County Council in 2014 to basically update it. To figure, I guess 20 plus years is enough time that it's probably time to take a look at a planning document. So that motion was passed. The efforts that Skyway Solutions was undertaking in 2011 and 2012 were sort of already there, and so there was a request to King County to help with some staffing. So that's basically what King County's role was in that SWAP effort. There was Scott Logel, maybe many of you know, he's no longer with the county, but was involved with that effort. In 2015, there was some money passed through the council to fund a full-time position of somebody who would work with communities a little bit more proactively than just sort of on an as-needed basis, and that's when I was brought on in December of 2015. And so the goal of our effort is basically to work with these 7 areas of King County that are unincorporated. The county's divided up into those 7 different areas and develop these long-range 20-year kind of more vision policy type documents. We just finished the Vashon Maury Island plan. That was the first one. And we actually didn't have Skyway West Hill on our schedule originally because the assumption, frankly, from the department was that once it was given to the council, that it would be adopted. So it was not on our schedule. But it got to the council, and there was a few concerns, if you will, about some of the content of that of the SWAP. There was not a lot of discussion to it, but there was a motion that basically said, we're really not, I'm putting this in my terms, we're really not quite ready to pass this. We feel like it should be, we should blend this SWAP document with the old 94 plan, kind of create a new plan that's in the general framework of this new program. So that's kind of where we're at. This motion was passed in early 2016, and basically saying combine these 2 efforts and then bring it back to us. So we have, based on that, we do have a deadline of December of this year. So going back to my comment about not having this on our schedule, it means that this is kind of a little bit of an abbreviated planning exercise. So there is going to be a lot of work that we're doing at staff, kind of looking at just the documents and the policies, and particularly talking with departments about their budgets. These plans, I think we have general agreement that they're action-oriented, with kind of the old stereotype of these plans sitting on the shelves for 20 years and not really being looked at. That's kind of our goal of what not to do. So they are going to be a little shorter, a little targeted towards actions and some projects that the community particularly feels are high priority. So we're going to take the work that was done and assume that a lot of those priorities are still pertinent and still supported by the community, and move that on. What else did I say here? Is there anybody that doesn't know, wants a little bit more background? I was asked to maybe talk a little bit of some of the other backgrounds on the swap, and we got Ryan with Skyway Solutions here, and I'm assuming a lot of you already know. Is there anybody that would like a little more background on that?
Is there a place we can go to read up on both the older plan and the new one that Sky Solutions put together, because I wasn't involved? And just to get it kind of, I can read it on my own.
Yeah, we can
Sure.
all read it on our own
Yeah.
if we know where to go.
Yeah, is there a email list that we can send out a couple of links to?
Yes, we can. I was,
Is there a sign-in sheet
I
or
didn't
something?
quite hear them. I'm sorry that we don't have a microphone this evening.
I just want to be able to look at both of the plans to see how they're going to mesh together.
Yes,
Basically,
I wrote the same thing on mine too.
on the
So-
King County website, under the comprehensive plan,
Okay.
there's a link to sub-area plans, and both the 1994 plan, basically photocopied as an electronic document, and the swap are there.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen the new, link to the new one, because I kind of did look for that, didn't see it.
I believe that they're both associated in the sub-area plan
Yeah,
area.
I could.
And if not, the swap should be with the proposed King County 2016 comprehensive plan, which I believe is still online.
And I believe they have both already been posted to the Facebook account. So the West Hill Community Association, I believe it was posted earlier today.
Oh, cool, that's good.
Good. Thanks for that. Yeah. Does that help? Okay. You guys are a step ahead of the county. But we will definitely use that. We do have an intention to set up a page on King County permitting site that is dedicated to this effort. It might be a little bit easier to find that, because then it'll be all the documents that are related to this will be put there. So it's not up yet, but so just really quickly to wrap up sort of this first summary, in terms of the schedule, we are going to we have our first meeting on Monday with King County staff team. There's 8 different King County departments that are on this team. Department of Parks, Public Health, Department of Transportation, the majority that would have any involvement in implementing a plan like this. That staff team meets on Monday to kind of have a kickoff meeting to look at the next 6 months and to refine that schedule a little bit. So that's the first thing. We do have an intention, not an intention, we are planning to be at your August 19th parade and block party. I believe that's
Thank
right?
you. Yes.
The 19th, and have a booth at that with a short, maybe 4 or 5 question survey. And then the following week, I believe, is the Health and Safety Fair, the August 26th.
26th, yes.
Yeah, so we will be at both of those events in terms of just trying to engage with the community at large with some questions and have at least 2 or 3 King County folks at both of those events. And then at the end of September, the beginning of August, we will have a community forum that's dedicated to just this effort that doesn't merge with anything else that's going on. It'll be, the whole evening will just be dedicated to where we are at, sort of lay out the policies and some of the priorities that we're seeing from those prior meetings and see, does that mesh with the community? Does that sound right? Are these kinds of actions, on target? So those are the 3 main sort of community events. We will, as I mentioned, have the webpage, and then anyone that signs up for this email will have some email kind of about every month or so that will go out on that. So that's kind of the public engagement part that we're looking at. We unfortunately aren't planning to have a community advisory group, which is what we've done in Vashon and most of the others. We just feel like that there's just not enough time, and it's not the kind of just sort of truncated effort just doesn't allow for the time to form, an advisory group. If anybody looks at the Vashon site or looks at future planning efforts and see that is kind of a central piece of these plans, but because this one already had a lot of the community effort completed, we are going to just use these other 3 events that I mentioned for that. So I think that's it on terms of process and some of the background. Any questions or comments about that part of it?
Will there be online commenting possible? Commenting online?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that. We are working with a group called Peak Democracy. It's a third-party company that basically works with cities and counties to do online public engagement.
Perfect.
So we have a contract an ongoing contract with Peak Democracy.
Good.
And so we'll have that, and it allows people to see comments. It's monitored and all that. It's a little different than Facebook, but it does allow people to go on, put some comments. You can be anonymous or not, and you can kind of see what some of the other comments are on certain policies. It's sort of, you have a policy, and then you can write your comment, and then everybody can read it. So, yeah.
I think for the King County Strategic Plan, they had a site like that. Is it the same?
It's
same company?
different.
As them? It's different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the links are on our Facebook page.
The links are on the Facebook
Are
page.
on the Facebook page. And then this new sub-area plan will replace the 1994 plan.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the proposal that we're anticipating to be sent to the King County Council at the end of December. Obviously, it's out of the hands of the executive at that point, and see where the council goes with it. But the intention is to have it for them to repeal the existing plan and replace with the. Those 2 words have a different meaning now, don't they?
Yeah, they do. You have to be careful how you say that these days.
Be careful.
Yeah. Any others? Yeah.
Is there a date and place for the community forum?
There's not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, you mean the one in late September, early October?
Yes.
No, we do not have a date a specific date or a place yet.
So, but will it be right here on the hill?
Oh,
or
certainly.
somewhere else? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it will definitely be somewhere
Right
on the,
here.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Hi. I'm a little surprised to hear your comments related to the county wants to target kind of an action plan. In a way, I guess Skyway led the way in calling this the Skyway West Hill Action Plan when it was first brought up for community discussion. But I was of the understanding that the county executive actually pulled it from the council's agenda after having supported it being part of the comprehensive plan update, precisely because too many actions that implied some kind of budgetary promise that the county's legal department said, you better go slow on this. So how can we have an action plan without promising budgetary promises?
Sure. Well, I think generally I
And
agree
correct
with.
anything I said that might be.
Generally, I think what you said is pretty accurate. We do have Larry Evans here tonight that could maybe speak to a little bit of that if you're willing to.
That is basically what happened. It was, not to put it all on the executive, it was both the executive and the council as a body. They're really reluctant to approve any plan that are budgetary applications. It's kind of like signing a contract, and then you look at the fine print and find out that there are not so much hidden, but other issues that would cause you to have to, look at allocating funds. And I think one that really stood out was with the King County Sheriff's Office. That was problematic because, one, there was budgetary implications in the plan. Two, the sheriff is an elected official, so the council nor the executive they don't necessarily have the authority to tell the sheriff where to spend that money. But in general, you're right, there was some concern because a deeper dive was done into the SWOT, and there were some things that had some budget implications there.
Well, my reading of the 1994 plan is that it also has some pretty strong framework towards, here's the kinds of things we wanted to get done. There's many specific things that are actually mentioned. I don't know how many have actually been done, but there were definitely many specific projects mentioned in the 1994 plan. We as a community were asked to kind of model the SWAP after the 1994 plan, and my sense is that that's exactly what was done. And then to have the county say, no, we won't accept that, is really troubling. And in particular, when the county council staff member who was engaged in providing the only testimony to the county said, I haven't read the 1994 plan. That's triply troubling to me as a community member. That our, it's like worse than lack of engagement.
Right. I mean, a couple of comments. One is I mentioned that this departmental team that has 8 different departments on it that will be engaged throughout the entire process. One of the main reasons we use that is so that they can sort of vet within each department very early on. Okay, this is reasonable. This is completely unreasonable, and this is a maybe. So that those assessments can be done right at the beginning, and as we go through, then the community knows early on. Yeah, we want 3 more deputies, but guess what? It's not going to happen. I mean, I don't think anybody here is probably surprised at some of those things, but so that's one thing I would say is that we designed it so that kind of review happens really early on. I think we can be more accurate with ourselves as a county, but also with the community about what's realistic.
Any plan should have aspirational goals in it, whether it's around public safety, health, human services. That's fine. In fact, the county encourages that. The county kind of moves in that direction itself. But when it gets more specific, and that was 23 years ago, economically, things have changed significantly in the last 23 years in terms of the resources and the restriction on the resources that King County has.
true, but if you look around this neighborhood, actually, not much has changed in 23 years.
Yeah, we've lost a lot of business.
Yeah, gradual downhill slide.
And that's part of our concern with the county going slow and pushing back on plans in a way that blindsided the community.
What do you mean by that?
I don't think there was anybody here that could have predicted that, the swap would have been pulled from the comprehensive plan before that went to a final vote. Whatever discussion occurred to make that happen, happened in secret and not out in public testimony or engagement at all with the community. I mean, when the comprehensive plan passed, it doesn't, things like that don't hit the news, you know. There was no headline, Skyway's plan pulled from consideration. And, you know, it just happened with a little whimper and I guess the stroke of a pen.
Yeah, well, I think
And we're left to then wonder what's gonna happen next.
Yeah, obviously, I'm one planner who's trying to work with the communities to get these things going and to maybe fix a few problems. So, I mean, that's our goal. So far, so good on Vashon. We've had good communication, good experience. I can just say I commit to doing the same level of work with this community. I mean, I guess that's all I can say. The other thing is that in terms of the actions, it is a 20-year plan. So I think as Larry mentioned, you know, there's some actions that, you know, aren't going to, you know, be in this next biennial budget, maybe even next year's or the 2 years biennial, but they could be in, you know, in 6 or 7 years. So that's kind of to prioritize what is short priority, what's midterm, and what's long term. I mean, that's one of the things we're going to do. There was back here.
So you're saying you're gonna have a budget established by December, but with no public input, because you don't have time to do that. So how does that take place without the community involved in that process? If you have to establish a budget by December of this year, and you're not having public meetings on it, how do you continue to move forward without input?
Well, if I'm hearing you right, but we're not actually doing the budget by this December. It's the plan,
Okay.
which has an implementation chapter, and that chapter in the plan, that implementation will have certain actions that, you know, will have some costs associated with them, but it's not going to be an actual, you know, the formal budget that the county does. Are we talking the same thing?
Well, you referenced Vashon. There was a lot of community meetings with input. You referenced that when you told us that
Right.
there would not be one for December because the window's upon you too quickly.
Yeah.
So referencing Vashon's success and then referencing Skyway.
Oh, I see.
still,
Okay.
How are you getting to that point without
Right.
talking to the community?
Well, one is that we are doing 3 different community engagement meetings. It's not that we're not doing any, we just aren't forming a formal advisory group. So, but we are definitely going to be here and engaged. So, and then we will have certainly the conversations about the priorities, you know, ongoing, so that when it comes to the public hearings that the council holds, you know, hopefully, I mean, it's a document that everybody has had time to digest and work with. Yeah, I mean, the success of it's really going to depend. I mean, the council is going to ask, well, you know, is the community behind this? And that's the question they should ask, and I'm sure they will ask. And I think, you know, we are relying a lot, as I mentioned, on the work that was done as part of the swap, which, granted, it's, you know, it's a year and a half too old, but we're making the assumption that a lot of those bigger projects and priorities probably haven't changed a lot. So we feel like a lot of that work is still valid, and we will definitely rely and refer to that. Sonia?
I was gonna ask if, King County has pretty much given up on annexation for the next 20 years, or, and what is Renton's role now as a PAA? Is that just,
I didn't think we'd get out of there without the word annexation coming up.
Right. Have to say that.
Well, and shouldn't that be explicit in any plan?
That's right.
Yeah, it's an extremely valid question. We're kind of working with this issue of having that experience with Renton be not too long ago. What was that, 2012?
2012.
It started in 2004,
Yeah.
and the community engagement happened in 2004 and 2005. So it's actually quite a long time ago.
Okay. Yeah, there is no change. I guess to get your question about the potential annexation areas, we are not expecting any change to the boundary of the potential annexation area. I think at this point, all of Skyway West Hill would remain in the Renton PAA.
Unless Seattle or Tukwila bids for us, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's nothing
Just
set in stone
unlikely.
on it, but.
Seattle isn't showing any interest in annexing West Hill.
You know, that's largely housed in the executive's PSB
Yeah.
department. So
That's true.
Karen is kind of the main lead staff person, Karen Freeman.
Uh,
Yeah.
Is that department involved in the several departments group?
Yes. Yeah, Ivan Miller's on this team.
Is he in that, is he in? I
He's in
thought- I
PS.
thought-
He is
Oh, I
PSB.
thought he was in Deeper too.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, Ryan, isn't there someone coming to talk about annexation at the meeting on the 29th?
Yes, so, this will be part of my spiel, but just saying it now, I guess. July 29th, we're having a convening at the now Tally High School, formerly known as SLC. And one of the dialogue topics is gonna be annexation. So there'll be people from City of Renton, City of Seattle, and King County to go into that and have a discussion.
What time of day is that?
The whole event is from 8:30 to 5:30. The annexation, I believe, will start about 3 o'clock.
So during our action mob?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're certainly making an assumption up front that annexation, if and when it happens and to who it happens, is quite a ways away.
Okay.
So we don't feel like that should really, I mean, the priorities of the community are the priorities of the community,
Well,
right?
And we'd like, as a community, to not then have that as an excuse for the county to be inactive in our community and actually taking the reins on implementing a plan, because annexation is hanging like a sword of Damocles over our head. And that, in fact, has been the county's stance. Well, annexation's coming, so we're not gonna commit very strongly to anything.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's a dynamic that is troubling.
Do we have a couple more minutes, or?
Yes, yeah, more minutes.
So there was a couple of topics that I guess I'll just kind of throw out there and maybe read a couple of policies that are in the 94 plan that, at least on our initial read, didn't get a lot of attention in the Skyway swap. Just wanted to take a couple notes and kind of get a little bit of a read on that from you folks that are here anyway. One is that the 94 plan has a lot of language about protecting all of your single-family residential neighborhoods. So these are a little bit the lower density single-family housing, outside of the Skyway Business District. So the language is in there is basically we want these single-family neighborhoods to be protected as they are. terms of the infrastructure and the views and several other things. We're making an assumption that that kind of language, I think there's 4 or 5, 6 policies related to that, is probably still a priority for this community. Thoughts or ideas on that?
Well, I'd say it's a priority possibly in some neighborhoods, but we also are very aware, and something that is every day Seattle down to south of Kent, that affordable housing is needed. And people on this hill need affordable housing too, and that tends to be multiplexes. It tends not to be single-family housing. So I don't know how other people feel about that, but I think it's inevitable now, 20 years later, that we're gonna need different kinds of housing in some areas, or more of what we have, the newer kind of housing.
Well, the Martin Luther King corridor, that's the corridor that goes from up by 129th down to Preston Point, is already identified for 20 years or more as the county's place for growth. And in fact, the places where Skyway has changed the most in the past 25 years is along that Martin Luther King corridor already. However, doing things like building an insular, low-income, huge, high population apartment complex, and then not doing the infrastructure around it that's necessary for that urbanized of a location to have access, easy access to daily shopping was a big mistake, and we don't ever want to see that. I don't think anybody in the community would ever want to see that kind of planning. We'd like to find ways to create policies that would have more of an opportunity to prevent that kind of execution, I guess.
Right. Okay.
One of the things that's holding back the sale of what is known as the Mount Anderson property right now is that it can only be used in 2 fashions. It can be used as a recycling pit, or it can be used as multifamily residential. No mixed use on it. Basically, a really good business routing area, but yet you can't build businesses in lower areas and then put housing above it.
You cannot?
No, you cannot.
Yeah.
Under today's zoning.
Under today's zoning.
Yeah.
Right.
But I believe so do you remember I did the swap have a policy, I don't remember off the top of my head, about changing the zoning on
No,
that?
You guys came to the CSA meeting and said, no, we're not planning on changing the zoning.
The county.
Swap. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well, that's,
yeah, that would be definitely something we'd like to, I mean, I don't think that people in general have a huge stake in terms of single-family concerns over increased densities in that area, because it pretty much is the open land of the area, if you will. And take places like the old motels, both at 129th and at 57th, that have been vacant land for a long time, as well as the Mount Anderson site.
57th and 129th has been purchased by the church.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
No, what I'm talking about is the Chinook property,
Yeah.
and then the property across from the 7-Eleven. I know the one on 59th.
No, the old Schmidt Motel property has been purchased by the church.
Oh, it has been?
Yeah.
Okay, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
So, whether that's an opportunity, concern for the county.
yeah.
So I guess in essence, what I'm saying is we need smart growth, not single-use growth.
Yeah.
If you look at our 2 major corridors, Renton and MLK, they're typically single use on both sites.
Right.
And we need to be putting businesses, I can't argue, we need to go up.
Right.
Granted, under the power lines, we're only gonna go up so much. The other thing we have to do is we have to be careful if we don't make the mistakes, honestly, Seattle's making right now, where they are taking single-family housing dwellings, are tearing them down, are putting quadplexes. But the sewer lines in front of the houses haven't changed, the water incoming lines haven't changed, the parking situation hasn't changed. And the Seattle streets are hell to get around right now. And they're overtaxing their sewer system because frankly, they got 4 times as much stuff coming off a single lot. Well, here, I mean, we're getting some sort of upgrades and things like that, but we're still in that 70-year-old infrastructure pattern.
Well, I think right now, the 1994 plan has a policy, number 11, that says opportunities for multifamily residential development should range from 12 to 48 homes per acre, be associated with offices and services,
Right.
and be confined to areas for multifamily development by the West Hill Community Plan. Does that sound
Yeah.
still accurate?
Except for the zoning hasn't been implemented.
Right. Can't do it.
Right.
Well, without the swap here to compare it to, and a lot of people probably haven't read the swap, it's pretty hard to say, no, I don't
Sure,
agree with
yeah.
that, or I do, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want to pull the group here.
Yeah, no, you make a good point. There's still, and I believe that it's pretty complementary in this effect. I mean, I think there's some,
Yeah, it sounded kind of familiar, but, you know, you have to review those
Yeah.
things to know what was said.
The other advantage to keeping our yards is that children have places to play inside their yards, and you keep the green space. If you start stuffing too many accessory dwelling units into properties, you're going to be cutting down trees and taking away gardens, and for people just beginning to grow their own food in their yards and things, and that's pretty much treasured here, that you can do that. So it's a nice lifestyle that I think would be good to preserve. Because once it's gone, it's gone.
like your backyard chickens?
Well.
Not ours.
And roosters. And roosters.
This area has had a bit of a rural quality that
Yeah.
a lot of
Well,
people like.
And even in the single-family areas, there is a lot of, acre-plus plots that have one house or less. So there's, the problem with the way that the county typically permits infill is the way they design it is with stormwater basins on the outside, and then some kind of an interior plan that basically divorces that little subdivision from all of the existing neighbors. So, some policies that would perhaps encourage a connection between subdivision developments and the existing neighborhood might be worthwhile.
Okay.
Although the Skyway neighborhood, this Renton Avenue South here is just full of big ugly buildings. I mean, there's lots of room to build there. And stores would be great.
yeah.
I mean, people have been saying that here
Right.
forever.
Yeah, those are commercial areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a whole different thing, but you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I agree, I definitely agree that whatever it is in the 1994 plan that failed to encourage more commercial development in the existing commercial areas, I hope that there could be some discussion by planners, because I'm not enough of a planner to know.
The thing that failed in the 1994 plan was called Walmart and renting.
Okay, so it could have been external as well.
Business model in 1994 is completely different than it is now.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all I had, unless somebody else would share something. We'll continue to be in touch and engaged with you on
Can you
this.
tell us about anything about NAVSATs?
I knew annexation would come up, and I had completely forgot about it. So we are definitely, we have reviewed, a couple of staff have reviewed the last meeting where Councilmember Gossett was at, and lots of comments. We didn't hear really anyone in great opposition to that chorus. So we're making an assumption that while there might be a couple, that's really the direction, kind of the charge to go. So we are looking at some 2 or 3 potential options to work with that special district overlay to amend right now that would potentially allow him to move across the street.
Good.
So we got 2 or 3 on the books, and just kind of working the language, which we'll just have to toss around, and then the community will see those. The council member Goss, Larry will see them, and we'll.
Is there a timeline for that?
Brad and I just spoke as recently as yesterday, and again, we're looking at these different options. What would be the quickest? What would be the less problematic? And Councilmember Gossett's already gone on record, as you heard a few weeks ago, him and Fred Jarrett said that, well, he's ready to introduce legislation to make that happen. So all we're doing now is playing with the language. Brad is working with myself, and I'm not a land use specialist. He's forgotten more about land use than I'll ever know. But we do have somebody on the council staff that specializes in land use, so the 3 of us are working together. We intend to stick to that timeline by the end of the year. That is the goal, not a promise, but that's the commitment that was made at the CSA open house, and Councilmember Gossett had every intention of sticking to that. So it's just a matter of how, really.
Thanks.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
I don't know all the details, but my understanding is that you can't build because there's a drive-through. Is that correct? And then, so I understand why that rule was put in place a while ago. Is this exemption going to be specific for this one instance? Because ideally, I'd probably not want like 3 McDonald's on the road, I guess, you know? So, and that's why that rule was put in there in the first place. So like, there's not going to be unintended consequences on the other side, is there? Or what's kind of, is that being addressed?
That's kind of what we're
Yeah.
looking at.
Yeah.
And it's also not being built, it's already in existence, and the drive-through is in the original blueprint. Because it used to be a milk barn. It was a milk barn, it was already used as a drive-through.
Oh, quite
But yeah.
frankly, though, there have been, in 1999, I believe, there was a exemption approved by the county for a car wash where the library sits right now. So, so it's not like there's no precedent for making exemptions from the.
I
It
think
never got built, obviously.
I would just add, I think the county's fully aware of the advantages of having a sit-down establishment, a gathering place within the community for that type. I mean, it's clear and totally support that.
It's not just a question of having one of those, but of not killing his existing business in order to have one of those.
Yeah.
It's the need for both.
Both
He has a drive-through.
Right.
It's flourishing for what it is, but if he moved his restaurant across the street and couldn't have a drive-through,
Oh, yeah.
he would lose the
Right.
bulk of the business that he has now. They'd be going to drive-throughs in Rainier Beach and Renton, you know?
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we are going to continue moving along with our agenda community reports, and I'm going to start with King County Sheriff's Office. There you go. Come on up, Officer Bruner. Oh, look at that, how clever. He's got a little pocket right there. I'm impressed. There you go. Thank you. Floor is yours, sir.
All right, so this is my first one, so I'm not too sure what you want to know. I do have some stats. I'm assuming everyone wants to know the stats. Overall, from June of 2016, I don't have July, obviously, because it's not over. So the end of June, or June of 2016 to June of 2017, we have 2 different types of stats. We have Part 1 stats and Part 2 stats. Part ones are the major crimes: homicides, aggravated assaults, robberies, rapes, burglaries, larcenies, vehicle theft, and arson. Those are down to June. There was 34 instances, opposed to in May there was 55. So those have dropped substantial in the last month. And back all the way back in June of 2016, they were at 45. So they're still down from a year ago. There was a one uptick in November of last year, but overall the stats are going down. Part 2 crimes, those are other assaults, frauds, possession of stolen property, vandalisms, sex offenses, controlled substance violations, family juvenile offenses, DUIs, concealed weapons violations, fights, trespassing, vandalism, public hazards, nuisances. Those are also down. Back in June of 2016, we were at 78. This year, June, we are at 55. And there was one uptick up in October of last year. Other than that, it's kind of a steady downward.
Was mail theft in there? I didn't hear.
That would be under, I believe that is the possession of stolen property.
Okay.
The only, I guess, uptick we did have from last month to this month, we had 4 burglaries in June, where in May we had 0. So that was up. But then in May we had 6 auto thefts, and in June we had 0. So they chose for the houses as opposed to the cars. So, yeah, so that's basically kind of the stats I have, and obviously whatever questions you have, I can shoot answers hopefully your way.
Well, I can report to you now that I unfortunately found 4 election ballots on the street on 57th Avenue South yesterday. I returned them to the house where they were mailed.
Where were they mailed? Because Renton PD.
This was just right in on top of a garbage pile next to the old Chinook Motel site.
Okay, so yeah, Renton PD was actually investigating that crime because there was a car involved in a bunch of mail thefts up in the Renton East Hill with kind of like an Uber car. I guess it's called Reach Now. You go to a BMW dealership, you type in your credit card, the door's unlocked.
It's like Car2Go, yeah.
Yes, basically, exactly the same thing. They were tracking that car because it has GPS and it was rented or borrowed, whatever you want to call it, with a fraudulent credit card.
Okay, got it.
So they've tracked it to 57th place. And so I assisted on helping them. So obviously, we recovered a bunch of other mail in the car. And then obviously they must have tossed the mail out prior to where they parked it.
And this was from the 6500 block of Langston Road.
Okay.
Where it had been stolen.
So my guess it's probably the same car who's just kind of driving the east side of Skyway up and over into the west hill of
urging if you were actually making apprehension on it, that's good.
Yeah, yesterday all the mailboxes on South 128th that weren't locking were wide open.
Okay.
And let's see, it was Sunday morning, we saw mail and ballots strewn in the Skycrest area. What street is that? 72nd? No. The one that goes up over the hill down to
Ski Hill,
Langston.
yeah. Drops over Langston.
There was mail all over the place.
And yeah, that would be right near that same address.
Yeah, with the mail theft, it helps when we get reports of it. You know, and if we don't know if people are stealing the mail, it's kind of hard for us to actually apprehend them. Luckily, the Postal Services has helped out. They've got special investigators that we can call who actually will take possession of the mail and they can investigate the crimes itself. Because to meet the statute for prosecution, you have to have 10 pieces of mail from 3 different people. So just because somebody's got 1 or 2 people's mail doesn't mean we can even prosecute on it. Doesn't mean the Postal Service can't.
It seems like it's an awful lot of trouble to get junk mail.
Yeah, and it's kind of the thing, I believe probably Deputy Mitchell, as well as Deputy Curtis Andrews, same thing. If you have anything important that you need, either have it mailed to a P.O. box or pick it up in person. Amazon's doing great. I know down in the Rainier Valley, down at the Safeway there, if you're getting Amazon, you can say deliver it to the Amazon locker down there. You go down there, swipe your credit card that you paid with, kind of wait for a big old bank, and So you walk over there and grab your box. You know. So there's options to secure your mail. I'd love to say that locking mailboxes help, but where there's a will, there's a way. Just like a house, if somebody wants in your house bad enough, they will find a way in.
Well,
Yes,
one
ma'am.
officer said they knew what car it was.
Yes, they're.
So why can't they arrest the person?
So every time I've talked to Mr. Banks, he's never had an email on him. The car stands out. It's a big black Lincoln Town Car with big black 22, 24-inch chrome or black painted wheels. Every time I've talked to him, unfortunately, he never has any mail on him. So whether or not he's stealing the mail, and then people who do call him in, he's just quickly, oh, that's junk, and then shoving whatever he has down his pants in a backpack, which I have no legal authority to go into. So eventually his time will come around, and we will catch up with him, and we've got the documented cases of, okay, hey, his car's here, his car's here, his car's here, his car's here, and then hopefully we'll tie him back to a bunch of them all at the end.
One more thing, we're still hearing fireworks every day.
Yes.
And somebody seems to be doing a good job. I always call them in, and they've been silenced. So I think your staff must be doing a good job of finding them and telling them to quit.
Yeah, well, thank you. It basically just takes somebody calling.
Yeah.
You may hear it, we may hear it, and then we'll kind of, all right. Okay, we're going here. We're going here. Yeah, because obviously it takes a little bit to get used. But yeah, once we find them, then we can confiscate them. We got a big old locking thing down at the precinct that we throw them all in our bomb disposal unit. Has fun.
Practice.
Are you sending out the block watch reports? Because I don't remember the last time I got one to relay to the block, Is it being done still?
I'm getting the stats from Jody, and I've sent a couple out. I'm not sure if I have all the email addresses quite yet. Because like I said, I'm kind of picking up from Jimmy, so whatever Jimmy gave me at the beginning when he left, I'm not sure if I have them all. If you know the email address, I'll jot it down now and make sure if I haven't added it to it, I can.
And one other question, last night a neighbor at the end of my block said he heard like 20 rapid fire shots. He's not sure where, when you're in your house, you can't tell which window is that coming in, followed by 4 single shots. And he just was wondering what in the heck that was. Could have been down in Renton. Somebody on 135th also said they heard it.
Okay, and when this was last night?
Last night, like 2:40 in the morning.
Okay. I get off at 10 p.m., so I'm not 100% sure. I can go look on my CAD after this if you want to know. I'm typically with reports of shots fired, unless somebody ends up in the hospital, we usually either find shell casings in a general vicinity, but very hard to tie to anybody. So checking out our daily brief that we get, there was no reports of shootings, as in like people hurt, injured, or anything like that, or property damage. So I'm assuming it's just some unsavory person just being an idiot.
That was a lot of shots. So usually you hear 1 or 2, not 20 followed by 4. And you heard no sirens, so it was like nobody was called. So.
Yeah, 5 days ago, Scott, was it about 5 days ago when the kids were down in the park doing their cleanup thing? I heard, 8 or so coming up, and Scott heard the other 8 from the other side. So it was somewhere on Renton Avenue, and I heard them and kind of went around the area, but not a single person called on it. So sometimes we get 10, 11 people calling, other times we get absolutely no response.
I believe he called, and the people, the person on the phone wants to know where did you hear it? And he said, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but at least reporting, I suppose, is.
Yeah, it does help, yeah. Because then, who knows, obviously adrenaline's rushing, so if somebody does something that bad, usually they're going to be speeding away in a really fast hurry, and may not tie them to the shooting initially, but that guy's going like 60 down Renton. That's that.
Thank you, sir. Look forward to seeing your face around.
All right.
Feel comfortable. All right. Next up, we have our new fire chief. Okay, this is Eric Hicks. Come on over, Eric.
Camera have my good side?
I think so. Is there a bad side?
I don't know, I'm still trying to discover
See?
it, so.
I don't know.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
I consider it a privilege to be here and talking with you all tonight. Some of you have kind of read my story of how I kind of grew up here. I had a paper out in Panorama. My first job was at Albertsons, and so I was a kid riding my bike around this area. Graduated from Renton High School. I started my career here in 1991 as a volunteer. At age 19, I was a volunteer for about 3 years, then got hired on with the fire department here in Skyway. I was a career firefighter for about 5 years, and in 1999 left to go work for the city of Everett. I left to go to the city of Everett because, being young, I wanted bigger things and bigger dreams of being in that big city fire department, and boy, did I get it. If you watch, I know you all watch the news, and you see Everett's in the news a lot. Here, probably in the last 3 or 4 years, you've probably seen me in the news a few times because I was a PIO for the fire department for quite a while. I was also the fire marshal. And then earlier this year, in January, I was appointed fire chief for the Everett Fire Department. I had a unique opportunity to come back to Skyway and kind of work where I grew up and drastically reduce my commute because I just live close to Federal Way. And I was making that commute for 18 years up to Everett. So I had a unique opportunity to work with a bunch of great people, the volunteers. I just love the program that's up here. Incredible people that work with the paid staff. So I just had an opportunity to come back and serve where I grew up. I love questions, so along the way, please feel free to ask me any questions you may have. As far as the report, the report is, last month we had 196 emergency responses. 4 of those were actual fires. I got the King County Sheriff's Department report on investigated fires that we had in the last couple of months. And our firefighters, along with the help of other cities, we saved over $1 million worth of property in the last couple of months. So they just do an incredible job saving property. We go on a lot of aid responses. 70% of what the fire department does are aid responses. Whether you fell off your bike, or you're having a diabetic episode, or a heart attack, or you're just not feeling well, we are the medical authority on the street. So to paint a picture for you, you may wonder, why are there so many resources? Why is there a fire truck going to an aid call? Well, the 3 firefighters that are on that rig are all emergency medical technicians. They're trained to a basic life support level to kind of get you somewhat stabilized while we're waiting for King County medics to show up, okay? If you're having a life-threatening event, like a heart attack, you're going to get the fire engine, you may get an aid car as well, and you're going to get the medic unit, okay? And so the medic unit is going to come up, and they're going to continue to help stabilize you with drugs, an IV, so we can get you stabilized and get you up to the hospital. All the other calls we go on, car collisions, hazmat, a rope rescue, confined space. We're just kind of almost like the drain of emergency services. Okay, we can respond to all kinds of calls. When you call 911 and you could say, my basement's flooding with water, the fire department will show up. Okay, we'll do the best we can to mitigate that problem while you can get other resources in there to help out with your water problem. So I'm going to dive right into this right here. This is the introduction to the facts of you're going to have the opportunity to renew our levy in November. Okay, it's a levy that expired in December 2012, and we're asking you to renew that levy. The last levy, it generated $650,000 for the first 2 years and $850,000  2 years after that, which expired again in December 2016. It was 60 cents per thousand for the first 2 years and 90 cents per thousand 2 years after that. This time, since home values have gone up a bit, it's going to be 41 cents for the first 2 years and 53 cents 2 years after that, expiring in December of 2021. Okay? And we're asking for this money. The reason why it's needed is to not only sustain our programs, our volunteer programs, which is very important, and upkeep of our facilities and training. To train a firefighter takes a lot of time, takes a lot of money. And for us, we're in a unique situation right now because a lot of our volunteers, they are high-performing volunteers, and they are getting hired like that. So it's hard to maintain our volunteer program, and I'm trying to expand that program. Right now, we have about 20 volunteers, okay? So we have 20 volunteers, and we literally have 11 paid staff, and 8 of those are firefighters, paid firefighters, okay? The other 20 are volunteers, like Dave Nelson, back here, our PIO. He's one of our volunteers. Dave, how long have you been with the department? 15 years?
18.
18 years he's been a volunteer.
I'm the only one that can't get hired. That's
Is that a hint?
So, you know, there's a small percentage of our volunteers that have been around here for that long. A lot of them are in and out of the door in the first year, 2 years, 3 years, because right now all departments are hiring. So we'll get someone trained up in that first year. We turn around, they're getting hired by Renton, they're getting hired by Tukwila, they're getting hired by Seattle. We have firefighters, our volunteers are all throughout the state where they've been hired. And so that gives us a unique, bittersweet problem of we train them, we put a ton of money into them, then they take off. And so I'm trying to get our numbers up higher, and we need to get kids from this community interested in firefighting. Okay, we're sending 4 people up to our training academy, the state academy, coming up really soon. One of the kids in that group, he's 22 years old. He's working on his degree. He played football in college. He lives right on Renton Avenue. And so when I talked to him for a while, he told me he didn't even know that we had this program up here for volunteers. And that shocked me. I was a little surprised. I thought we were doing a better job getting the word out. So one of my missions is to develop a relationship with the Renton School District and with the Seattle School District to get more kids from this area interested in firefighting. And they may not even know that this opportunity is up here because we spend thousands of dollars to get them up to speed to be a firefighter and emergency medical technician. You know, the uniforms we wear are not cheap. The training that's provided is not cheap. And to get them that first year out in the street, again, takes a lot of time. Because when we arrive at your house and we're wearing this uniform, you're assuming that we know what we're doing. You're assuming that when we say, okay, we're going to unbutton your shirt, we're going to put these leads on you, we're taking your blood pressure, you assume we know what we're doing. Well, that takes a lot of training and a lot of time and a lot of money. And so this levy will help us sustain that. When I came in, I had an opportunity through attrition to reduce staff by 1 member. Okay, we had a couple of people in the office leave, and I chose not to replace that one person. So with that and analyzing the budget and making some changes, we're trying to sustain what we have, but we just know that our expenditures are outgrowing our revenue. Yes, ma'am.
You have a question?
Yeah.
Can you provide us with contact information to pass on to the schools about these programs that you're talking about?
So, one, it would be our website, okay? We just launched our new website. I have a new page on there talking about our volunteer program. Our application is on the website. It has a fresh new look, our Facebook page, and our Twitter. People can always come up to the station and talk to us. I haven't developed a new recruitment program yet, but that's something I'm going to be working on here in the next year because it's going to take some time. But definitely I'll be reaching out to, my first schools are going to be Renton High School and Rainier Beach High School.
Perfect.
I had a meeting with the Renton Fire Chief a week and a half ago, and I learned from him that they are not even going to the schools on career nights. And when I was in Everett, that was a big thing we did, and what I did personally is I went to career nights at the high school. That was very important. Had a group of kids in the classroom. They would ask me all kinds of questions. I would bring my equipment in, and we would start to gain that interest from a very young age. And that's what we need to do here.
And don't forget the secondary there, Tally High School now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I haven't even been there yet to introduce myself, so yeah, thank you. Yeah. The Bryn Mawr Station, and we're pretty familiar with the Bryn Mawr Station, the condition. We see it down there. It's built in the 40s. That's not a responding station anymore. That's more of a supply station. We have our reserve rig down there at times, and I took a tour of the station my first week here, and frankly, it's a mess. There's old equipment in there that needs to be surplused. There's something going on in the basement that could be an environmental issue with an old oil tank. And I'm exploring options on, do we need to tear that building down and build some type of, just a supply station, the cheapest type of pole building that we can build, but we're gonna need to do something with that station. There were 4 chiefs in office before me, and that station was not on any plans as far as future planning. And so now I'm gonna put that in our future plans. What are we gonna do with that station? So I have a consultant coming in the last day of this month, and they're gonna go through that station and give me a report on how bad it is and what we need to move forward on it. So there'll be more, I invite you to come to the commissioner meetings if you have any public comment about the levy, or if you have any questions. I'm pretty sure between now and November, we'll have some more neighborhood meetings inviting you to come to the station to comment or talk about the levy and our plans. But tonight is just a launch of facts that we're giving out. Any questions as far as the volunteer program? Yes, sir.
Last week you had a bunch of people up at up here at
Yes.
the training. Was that group young students, or was
That group is young students. So they're from the Puget Sound Skills Center, which is located in Des Moines.
Okay.
Yes, Des Moines. Or CTAC.
It's right at the border, so it's actually
Okay. And so, it was a summer program that they participated in. And so I did have a conversation with the instructor. How can we get Renton School District involved in that? And so Renton High School doesn't go that far to provide that same type of opportunity for the kids, but he's willing to talk to see what we can do and just run our own summer camp. Do the same thing. They're running up and down the tower. They're doing all kinds of cool stuff. And if you could be there when this program was going on and listen to this instructor yell at these kids, to me, it was the coolest thing ever. Because he's just, firefighting is a serious business. And the 4 volunteers that we're sending to the academy, they're all very young, they're all under 25. And I gave them my talk about integrity, honesty, how serious this business is, how fire doesn't care if you're a volunteer or if you're making a living wage. Fire doesn't care, it'll kill you all the same. Just like you guys, you don't care if it's a volunteer or paid guy. You want to make sure this guy is trained, he knows what he's doing. And so, yes, that was a great program. That was a great program. So I'm trying to see if we can expand that a little bit.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you. We'll hook you up and have you meet Mr. Matheson at the end of the meeting here. Next, Skyway Solutions, Ryan. How are we, I don't have a lot of time.
8:25. I'll be quick.
8:25, okay, so
I'll be quick.
we have a few more people, so
I'll be
5-ish
real quick.
minutes or so?
Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan. Thank you. And congratulations for winning one of our door prizes.
I want to make a couple event announcements. We talked a little bit about the Saturday, July 29th community convening. So we're having 3 kind of different topics and discussions. That starts at 8:30 a.m. at Tally High School, formerly known as SLC. It is free to everyone, and there will be food catered there. So the 3 topics, one is going to be annexation. So again, people from City of Seattle, City of Renton, and King County will be there to kind of lead a discussion and share some information about annexation. The other, one of the other topics is State Senator Rebecca Saldana will be there talking about state legislation, how that will affect Skyway West Hill. And then the third topic is going to be someone from the CCER, which stands for Community Center for Education Results. And so they're going to be talking about educational outcomes for Skyway youth, Skyway area youth, and kind of where that's going. So that's, to put into context, the Renton School District is part of the Roadmap project. And so that's
7 school districts, I believe, in the South King County area, kind of focused on improving graduation rates and just educational outcomes for all students. So those are the 3 topics. There will be spoken word there in between. So if you're able to come, that'd be greatly appreciated. Next Wednesday, July 26th, we are having a walking tour and restoration service project at Skyway Park. So the walking tour will feature King County Public Health, King County Parks, I think one, maybe CSA. I don't know if Bong is able to make that in the back over there. But it'll be opportunity, not just us Skyway Solutions, but we want the community, if you're able to come and your schedule allows you to be there and just share your experience with the park if you've been there, but also what you want out of the park in the future. So for those who don't know, we've done some park design work, and we're able to advocate and get $1 million in the King County budget specifically for Skyway Park. There is a project that has to happen first, a utility project, before we can implement those capital improvements. But once that does happen, King County, along with us, will be reaching back out to the community to make sure the things that we propose in those designs are still what the community wants, as far as baseball field. Do we want a workout zone? Obviously a better walking path. Lighting is obviously the biggest issue in the park. Perception of safety. Right now I think they're just starting the kind of workouts for the Renton Rangers, who starts there in August. But from what I know, they have to actually leave later in like September because there's no lighting and it gets dark early. So they even go as far as like Renton Park, which is over in like the Fairwood area. So a lot of those students actually live in this community, so for them to commute that far when they could just stay in their backyard, would help if there was lighting. Hopefully we get that. And then the big one in August, Saturday, August 19th, is community parade and block party. From what I know, from what Chuck and Lou has told me, it's the first one in over 20 years. We're not here to recreate the wheel. We just want to bring it back, and kind of a tradition that used to happen. We just want to bring that back and celebrate the diversity that is Skyway West Hill. So we've reached out to a bunch of different organizations in the area, from drill teams to drum lines to the schools to, everything that we could think of. We've reached out to, and if you have any suggestions for people, in case I haven't or I have already, I'm happy to hear those. So it'll go from the Skyway Library north on Redden Avenue to the Richmond Orthodox Church, which is across the street from Ezel's Skyway Bone Island, right there, that brick church. And then immediately after the parade will be the block party from about 12 to 3. The big thing, obviously, with that is there's going to be a road closure on Renton Avenue. So I personally delivered mail to each one of those houses and businesses along Renton Avenue that will be affected by the road closure, with the exception of those 2 apartment buildings, which I'm obviously going to reach out to. But yeah, so please feel free to come, bring family, bring kids. It's obviously for everyone. Help, please spread the word. It's on our Facebook page, so if you have Facebook, please share it. Yeah. Has that question?
Yeah, as far as the road closure goes, what will the effect of that be on the 106 and 107?
So those are rerouted, and so what will happen once it's officially approved by the road engineer, the traffic control plan, is I'll be sharing out a map of the actual detour routes and obviously the bus routes. But I can say for the 106, because that's the one I'm most familiar with and off the top of my head, it'll just be shifted onto 78th, which is that last turnoff before 76 coming up Renton Avenue, and then it'll go down that to I think 120th, and then follow that all the way to Renton Avenue on the back side of that little hill. So that's where those stops will be. The 107, similar to that, coming on the back side of the hill. Yeah, the other thing too that we are looking to budget for, because obviously not everyone is able, is a shuttle coming from the west side, so MLK near Crescent Point. We recognize there's public transportation doesn't allow you to just cut across the hill and go back. So we're looking at getting a shuttle bus, school bus, to have folks who live in that area and don't want to deal with the parking, obviously, that is the road closure and parade, be able to get to the parade and or block party and then also back to that area. So all that information too, once that's, depending on the traffic control plan and then actually reserving the bus, will be communicated out ahead of time, probably within the next, 2 weeks, because we're about literally a month away. Yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you, Ryan. Very exciting. Exciting stuff. Kathleen, Friends of the Skyway Library. Kathleen Sigma.
Actually, secretary. Yes, I'm assuming that people know that there is the Friends of the Skyway Library group that we started back up again, several years now. And what we're trying to do is make sure that we have programs, we have input, which is kind of community input into programs for the library. We also love to provide snacks for the kids that come in for their Game On series. You would be amazed at how you have a gigantic bowl of fruit, bananas and sasumas and grapes and things. And let me tell you, 30 middle schoolers will scarf that down in no time whatsoever. We decided it had to be healthy, and it works fine. So my main thing is October 7th and 8th, we are having our annual book sale. And so everyone is welcome to come. It'll be at the time that the library is open, and buy some books, and it'll be in the back room, the meeting room area, and help support, again, we'll get in more money so that we can help support more of the programs. The setup's on the 6th, the takedown's the 10th, and that brings up the idea of anyone, we are always welcome to new members. We meet every first Tuesday of the month at 7 o'clock in the meeting room, except for August and December. And that's when Fred always comes, who's the library services manager, and talks about what's going on in KCLS, what's going on in our little cluster of Skyway. South Center Library is opening back up. That's going to be bigger. They took over the jewelry store area down there, so that's going to be a nice big area. It is the busiest library in the system. It's right in the mall. And then the other thing is donations of books. Now, these books that we sell are not library books. These are ones that come from the community, and that we box them up and we send them off to Preston, and then they bring them back just for the sale. One of the things that we do also have, though, is that we have some books we'll take out for an ongoing book sale. I don't know if you were familiar with, when you go into the library, off to the left, there's a stack of books. Or right, the other left. I have trouble with that. It's the stack there is books to be bought. And there's a little cash box there. It's hard to tell, but the money actually does go in there. We've had a few people puzzled about it. But there, it has a little post. It's kind of honor system. You can go over and pick a book, and it's like 50 cents, 25 cents, whatever, for the books. And that also, that's our monthly income that we have. And we don't need much, but it does definitely help. We like to peruse the programs for King County Library System and decide what programs might be well worth coming to Skyway. We'll push for them, and we might push for a few little outside ones too. So we like to have a little support on that too. So again, volunteers, we'd love to have you. Donations of books, drop them off at the library. If you have a whole bunch that you would need to have picked up, you could, the library knows who to call to come and they'll even pick up books. So, and again, the book sale, October 7th and 8th, Friday and Saturday.
All right, thank you,
Do you
Kathleen.
take magazines?
We do. Yeah, we do.
Randy Matheson, Breton Schools. Thank you for coming in on summer vacation.
I'm still at work, so thank you for giving me a few minutes to talk about Renton Schools and what we're doing. As it's been mentioned a few times tonight, the Secondary Learning Center is being renamed Albert Talley Senior High School in memory of Albert Talley, who was a longtime school board member. He had family that grew up here on the West Hill. He mentored kids in elementary, middle, and high school for about 16 years, some of them from elementary school till crossing the graduation stage and shaking his hand. So he was very active in schools beyond his work as a school board member. To honor him, the school board is naming that school after him. They've already voted to do it, so the move has already been made. It's just the process of changing the sign. There's not a lot of work to do in the school or on the school itself. There's a masonry sign that sits out in front of it. That'll be changed. And then, of course, letterhead and cards and that kind of thing will be changed. But we'll have some kind of opening for his family as we move forward with getting that sign changed. Dimmitt Middle School coming this school year is going to be our first middle school that we're providing students one-on-one laptops. So it's a process to provide kids an opportunity to use tools in schools and use them at home. We're also working with internet providers to see if we can get zero or low-cost internet for families up here on the West Hill also, so kids can use those devices at home and continue to learn with those devices as they do at school. There's a new elementary principal at Campbell Hill Elementary School, so we'll see some changes at that school. And we continue our West Hill Now process. For those of you who don't know what that is, it is a process that we have in the Renton School District to provide specific help and assistance and funding at our schools on the West Hill, specifically the elementary schools up here on the West Hill, to make sure that the staff at those schools have what they need to provide students with the best education that they can. And that could include additional healthcare providers in the school, counselors at the school, additional funding for supplies and materials, making sure we have the right teachers in the school who have good, strong literacy and math skills to improve skills for kids on this hill. So it's a process that we started last year, and we're providing assistance continuing this year, and we'll continue that West Hill Now process. That should actually move into Dimmitt Middle School and Renton High School eventually. And the process is we sit down with the staff, we ask the staff, what do you need to do your job better? What funding, what materials, what people do you need? And we go about providing them with that. So our process as a budget process is we can find the money in our budget if it's important to our staff and our kids, and therefore it's important to us. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what the West Hill Now process is. One other thing, Renton High School, we are building a healthcare clinic inside Renton High that goes beyond a regular high school health clinic. We're partnering with HealthPoint, the healthcare providers that actually have a building right beside Renton High. What that organization is going to do is provide the healthcare professionals. We will provide the space and the utilities, and we've been provided a grant to reconfigure some of the inside of the school. So kids at that school will have direct contact and direct engagement with the healthcare provider. And it's another way that what we're doing as a school district is we can't provide stores and grocery stores and things like that up here on the West Hill. But what we can do is figure out what we can do as a school district to provide care and more convenience for our students and families, and see where we can actually fund those kinds of things. And this HealthPoint process is one way that we can go about doing that. So we're focusing a lot on the West Hill simply because of some of the things we've heard here tonight that are lacking up here. And as a school district, we're committed to trying our best to helping the community and families up here as best we can within the parameters that we can work. So, and also, Chief, this is my card. I would like to get together with you. Right. Get together on some of those ideas of putting kids in those programs.
Sounds great.
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think I have a couple of questions.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Do you know how Renton School District is going to be impacted by the budget, the state budget?
Yeah, we're still going through that process, only because we're still hearing, it's still being trickled out by Olympia. So it's not steadfast yet. They've sort of given an overview of what it might look like, and then they're trickling down What they'll do, what Olympia then does is push that through the state's education office, OSPI, and then OSPI helps us understand where our budgets sit. What we understand right now is that our budget will at least be very similar to what our budget was last year. So we don't have to lay off teachers. What we'll do is as staff retire, we'll look at positions to see where we can cut positions, support positions. But right now, all of our teaching positions remain on the table, and we're also, we continue to hire. We're hiring 100 new teachers this year because of growth, because folks decide they don't want to commute, and they take jobs closer to their homes. So we're hiring teachers, and our process is to budget schools as we did last year. So. Yes, sir.
Yeah, how do you spell Talley?
Talley. So it's Albert Talley.
Talley.
Talley Senior, yes. Yeah. Yes, sir.
The question I had was around the new middle school in the Highlands.
Yes.
When does that open, and then when will that, I guess,
Do you-
obviously the service area?
Do you mean in Newcastle?
Yeah, sorry, Newcastle.
Yes, that opens August 30th when we open schools. So
August, okay.
So what's going to happen, there's a few families on the West Hill that will shift over to McKnight, only because of where their boundaries are. We're going to give families the opportunity to stay at Dimmitt if they want to, or they can move within that boundary over to McKnight. But half of the McKnight Middle School will move up to that school simply because they already live in Bellevue and Newcastle, which is part of our school district. So, and it's a much needed middle school. McKnight Middle School right now is the size of a high school, about 1,400 kids, and our middle school should be sitting at about 800. So they've been pretty tight in that building for a long time. But those families already know who they are. They're already planned to move up there. We're giving choice. We have a choice program in our district. Whatever school you want to go to, you can go to it as long as there's space. So some of those families will choose to stay at McKnight.
And I guess a question related to that, obviously the growth of Seattle and then people moving out of Seattle into South King.
Yeah.
Has that like seen a big effect like in this area, like enrollment and even the other schools?
We are seeing about 100 to 150 kids every year enrollment growth. Right now, with the facility, with the new middle school opening in our Newcastle boundary area, and with the new Sartori Elementary School opening up in 2018, we can accommodate the growth moving forward for the next 5 years. And we'll just continue looking at it in that way. We're continuously looking for places to build schools, but developers are buying that land faster than we can and offering more money than we can, basically. So
Although you've got another land for an elementary school here in Skyway, is that right?
we do, but that is not big enough for an actual elementary school. So we are taking a look at what program, if we can build something there to move a program into it to free space at other schools. Does that make sense? So right now, that's not big enough for an elementary school. And there's a road that sort of divides the property there, and vacating that road is problematic for the county right now. So we're not pushing that right now because we don't have a plan to build on it yet. But it's certainly property we're going to hold on to and do something with, hopefully in the near future. All right, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to give a brief talk. Bridget Hempstead, she's with Sierra Sisters up here at the Holy Temple Evangelical Church. They are going to be having a community wellness festival and health fair. I will also get this so that we can put it on our webpage, but let me go over some of the highlights that she wanted to discuss. It will be this upcoming Saturday, July 22nd. The doors are going to open at 8 a.m., registration to begin at 9 a.m. They're going to have an opening ceremony at 10 a.m. Door-to-door walk, and I'm not quite sure what that is, goes from 10:30 to 12. But this is the big part of it, and I think that's really important that we need to get it out to everybody. They are going to offer mammograms, as she said before, mammograms without insurance, free diabetes, dental 10-2, I'm not quite sure what that means. Maybe just a quick dental check or a cleaning, I don't know. HIV screenings and other health screenings. They are going to be having door prizes all day long. And they're gonna be selling some designer purses. That's beside the point. Volunteers will be delivering life-saving information. I guess that's this part here. Blood pressure screening and more. I have actually, I myself have gone up to their service. It's a lovely church. The people were all very nice. They also have when you go in, I brought some things in there. They have a donation for clothing for people who need it. And it's not just for their congregation, I think it's for anyone. So that's just something else to share. But I we'll make she only brought the one copy, but I will, two, you've got some more over there? Are there more? Oh, wonderful. Please pick one up and we'll make sure that we can get Devin or somebody to put it on the webpage. Let's see. Good of the order. Anybody have anything else? Chuck, you didn't put your name on here for the VFW and the auxiliary. Oh, no, just shake your head. I'll take care of it.
Okay. VFW, you're more than happy here, more welcome here. We have a lot of programs going. On the 29th, we have our luau dinner, $15. There's music with it, and this is to raise money to help here within the community and also to help our active duty personnel. The one thing right now is, if you turn around and look on the back table,
yes,
there is a lot of material. What happened was one of the nurses at the Seattle VA hospital that works in the community living center, her mother passed away. And lo and behold, when they went into the house, all her sewing stuff. So if you wish to, take some of the material with you. If you're sewers, the only thing we ask is leave the baskets behind. Because what we're going to do with the baskets, and this is something that nobody ever thought of, when we do our Christmas baskets and Thanksgiving baskets, we tend to give them all the food and all that stuff and laundry soap, but we don't give them a basket to carry things around. So the basket stays so they can go out for the troops.
See, that would be good for quilters, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would be.
So we could tell our quilter friends.
Yes.
It's gonna be here in the.
We want to get rid of it, excuse me. We want it to be taken to where it can be used by the end of this month. Because we do have a couple of renters coming in, so it means all that's got to get shuffled again. So if you're more than happy to, take what you want to. Please take it all. No. But that's all I have. And I know, I apologize first of all for, there's no fans. Our fan system went down.
Cool.
Our microphone went down. So, next quarterly meeting, we'll have all that.
Wonderful. Well,
Okay,
thank you for having us. Thank you for having our donation jars. Oh, you know what we didn't put out was our little piggy.
Piggy?
Oh, I like the pig better. We do have a donation box. It's
because of little piggies in our
So
house.
yes,
It's our
thank you.
little piggy.
Oh, sure, little piggy.
And how are we doing for time? Did we close up by 9?
Yep.
Right on time. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for those who shared. I appreciate it. And as Chuck said, please help yourself to some fabric and cookies.